cooperative, part of the profits of the cooperative will go to the traditional government, traditional treasury, where the chief will use part of the proceeds, the profit, to bring electricity to his people, to build clinics for his people, as well as schools and other social amenities which governments haven't provided for them. Okay? If this model is successful, now we're not introducing anything new. We're not disturbing the culture. All that we're doing is simply reorganizing the farmers and finding a market for them. That's all that we're doing. Like I said, the farmers are not workers. They are entrepreneurs. They know how to produce palm fruit. We're not going to teach them how to produce palm fruit. They're going to use their own knowledge. As a matter of fact, they probably know more about palm fruit, cultivation of palm, than me. So we're only reorganizing them to produce fresh fruit bunch to be turned into palm oil. Profits will be divided. Part of it will go to the tribal treasury to provide social amenities to them. There's nothing complex about this. Now, this model can be extended. I've been trying to work with the Malian cheaters. I call them cheaters because this is a new generation of Africans, young Africans, who brook no nonsense about corruption. They understand what democracy and accountability is. They're not going to sit there and wait for governments to come and do things for them. Okay, these are the cheaters. In contrast, we have the hippo generation. The hippo generation are the government officials who are stuck in their intellectual mad path, complaining about colonialism this, imperialism this, and always, clamoring for more aid, more aid, more aid. That's the hippo generation. Okay? Now, they are becoming the dinosaurs, okay, of Africa's past. So we're working with the cheetah generation. These are the angry and new breed of Africans. And Africa's salvation rests on their backs. Now, in a nutshell, if you want to help Africa, whoa, I've been talking too much. In a nutshell, if we want to talk about help Africa, it is very critical. Okay. The real people of Africa can be found in the villages. That's where we go. The villages, the traditional sector, and the rural sector, and the informal sector. Now, we speak with them. We listen to them. Okay? We don't tell them what to do. We listen to them. And then out of what we hear from them, we can develop models that does not sort of disrupt their cultural structures and systems, but models that help them make them more efficient and finding markets for them. Thank you very much.
And it's estimated that something like 100 million new poor will be created by this, particularly in countries where people earn $1 a day, and that takes us to Africa. And so the conclusion was that the time of cheap food is over. As an economist, would you like to respond to how we can deal with this and what the impact will be on Africa, where 20 billion of the 25 billion they're receiving is being spent on food?
There's been a lot of mythology about, a misconception about high food prices, for example. Don't forget that about 5 years ago, we were the same people who were complaining that African farmers, poor African farmers, they are poor because the agricultural prices are too low. And that the U.S. has been dumping, corn on the world market, driving prices down and sort of throwing many African farmers, Western farmers out of business. Now that food prices are going up, we're still complaining. Here is what the problem is. There is the need for biofuel, okay? You will always have a problem. As an economist, I'll tell you that you will always have a problem. Say, take ethanol, for example. If you take corn from the existing supply, okay, the prices of corn will go up. Okay? It's the same thing in Africa, where you need palm oil to produce biodiesel. If you take palm oil out of the existing supply, okay, of palm oil, prices of palm oil is going to go up. That's not the approach that we're taking. Africa has plenty of idle land. And it is that idle land which is going to be used to produce the additional palm oil that is needed. So to solve the problem of high food prices, or say high palm oil prices, the solution is producing more palm oil. And we got plenty of land to produce the palm oil. So if you produce palm oil, more palm oil, and the supply increases, and if you produce more corn and the supply increases, any economist will tell you that the prices will come down. Okay? So let's produce more palm oil and more corn. Yes?
How much of that idle land is variable? I mean, can you grow crops on? And secondly, how many do you think your plan with cooperatives will draw enough people back out from the cities after the exodus to the cities for jobs? Do those people, do the young people know still how to farm the fields and do these cultural, agricultural that historically Africa was?
Well, don't worry. We'll get the young people to come back, to see if really is. We're going to build nightclubs in the villages and put put electricity and everything. But seriously, in Ghana, Ghana uses, is right now only cultivating 16% of its arable land, okay? 16% of its total arable land. So there's plenty of land that can be used to produce palm oil, or even pineapple. Or we can even go up, there are many, many crops that can be produced, okay? But the main thing is, as I indicated to you, Africa can't feed itself, okay? So the first solution is to get more production out of Africa. That's the first basic solution, get more production out of Africa, where land is, where there's plenty of idle land. Yes?
Hi. As we're talking about cooperatives, do we also need to be talking about health issues and specifically the AIDS epidemic? Because if villages are being decimated by AIDS and other health issues, will we have people convert to cooperatives?
Well, and that's a very good question because we established malaria-free zones. We've established 15 of them. We've established them in Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda. And we said, all right, look, now that we've saved them from malaria, now what? I mean, what do we do next? Okay. Is this whole malaria-free zone project sustainable? We didn't want to go back every year and sort of been supplying the same insecticide-treated bed nets. So we decided that the best approach was to help boost their economic potential so that if these villages themselves are making more money, then they will be able to take care of their health care needs. So the idea with, let's say, the palm oil cooperatives that we're doing, for example, as I indicated to you, part of the profits will go to the traditional authority, to the chiefs, to the tribal treasury, and that will be used to build clinics. As a matter of fact, we have built 2 clinics. We have built one in Ghana. We have just commissioned one open in Nigeria. Okay? In Nigeria, we handed over the clinic to the government. The government was too happy to receive it. Okay? In Ghana, we invited government officials. They didn't show up. So we gave the clinic to the Presbyterian Church, and they were also too happy to receive it. Okay? So the idea here with the palm oil project was, if that project takes off, profits go to the traditional sector, traditional treasury. Chiefs use part of it to establish clinics, hospitals, for example. Then they will be able to look at the AIDS crisis, malaria, and so forth. And then we're simply out of the picture, and the thing becomes sustainable. So that is the concept. Yes?
Groups that advocated sustainable organic agricultural practices in Somalia, I read, were criticized because mechanized agriculture is largely standing still in Somalia because the political situation is so unstable that farms can't operate continuously. Are there policies that we can support here by our government or by civil society groups that would support political stability in some of these countries?
Yeah, I think, in the case of, if we want to help, the people, I hate to say this, but we should stay away from those countries that are in political turmoil or civil war. It just doesn't make sense. What's the point of, building bridges and then having these bridges blown up by insurgents, the next day, or hospitals blown up and that sort of thing? We have to find a place which is stable and peaceful. Somalia is not one of them. So their priority is to bring peace to Somalia, okay? But there is something about Somalia, again, that we have to be extremely careful about. And that is why it is important to understand the culture of the people we want to help. Okay? Somalia is a unique ethnic group in the sense that traditionally, Africans have organized their societies in two ways. There are those societies that have chiefs, okay? So they were called states, okay? They had leaders. And then there were those societies which had no centralized authority. Now, they were called stateless societies, acephalous societies. Now, these societies were those that believed that any centralized authority is necessarily tyrannous, okay? And that anybody with concentrated power becomes a tyrant. So they elected not to have any chiefs at all. Okay? Now, if you go back into American history, okay, go back to the 17th century or possibly 16th century, for example, there were certain American societies who organized themselves this way, and they were called Cri-ta-chis. Okay, Cri-ta-chis. They had no centralized authority. The Somalis are like that. It's not just the Somalis, but there are also other stateless societies in Africa. The Igbo, one of them. The Gikuyus are one of them. Okay? So if you go, a lot of people look at the turmoil in Somalia and think that, well, the Somalis are having difficulty trying to establish democracy. Okay? But the actual fact is that the Somalis don't want any centralized authority. They don't want government. They hate government. As a matter of fact, they refer to government as the wazan, the thing. So it's a year where we think we want to help Somalia, but we want to create a government if you create a government for Somalia, Somalis will fight it.